I think of books and movies as apples and oranges. And first of all, if it's a project that you're not involved with, you're in a no-lose situation. If they make a great movie, you can say that was based on my material. If they make a lousy one, you can say, I didn't have anything to do with it. Okay?
In 1980, Stephen King had strong views on the longevity of books versus movies.
Movies have very short lives. For instance, The Shining, it had a playoff throughout the country this summer. It's now, you'd be hard-pressed to find a theater that was showing it first run. It'll probably be back next summer and do a run at the drive-ins. Then it'll be on cable TV. Then it'll be on network TV, and then it will disappear. Movies just simply have a very short life.
To be fair, VCRs and the video rental industry were in their infancy, so he was right about books having the potential to outlast their cinematic adaptations.
What I'm saying is that the movie will be gone, the book will still be in the library or the bookstore or whatever it is. I think that 50 years from now, hopefully some kid in a library will find that book in the stacks and pick it out and read it. He may never have heard of the movie. In fact, the chances are very slim that he never will have.
Every month now, 1 million video cassette recorders are whisked off the store shelves.
By 1985, VCRs were in 14% of households. That same year saw the 9th movie based on a Stephen King story, Cat's Eye, which is also the first Stephen King movie to be rated
PG-13. Starts Friday. Check newspapers for a theater near you.
Because of the rating, Cat's Eye was my first exposure to the storytelling of Stephen King. We saw the movie, along with our sister, at the beloved Canview Drive-In, on a double bill with Red Sonja. Funny enough, although Red Sonja starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, the best actor in the world, and Brigitte Nielsen, the wife of the second best actor in the world, Cat's Eye was the movie that made the bigger impression on us that night. While it's possible our mother pointed out the little girl in Cat's Eye was the same little girl in E.T., I don't think I gave a fuck, because I certainly don't remember being impressed seeing Drew Barrymore.
Right.
Like King's Creepshow, Cat's Eye is an anthology film with 3 stories that are connected by shoehorning the damn cat into the first 2, when really it only needs to be the star of the last one. The first 2 segments are from King's early days, cranking out short horror stories for porno mags, one of his most fecund creative periods. The first segment is based on King's story Quitters, Inc., about an ultra-effective smoking cessation program run by the Mafia.
I've been a smoker for a long time. It is very hard.
In 1985, smoking was much more common. I remember as a little kid following my mother around on her errands at Woolworth and the supermarket, and people were just wandering around the store, puffing away. There used to be these giant ashtrays, the size of garbage cans, filled with a fine white sand to stub your cigarettes into. Yet people still just drop their butts on the floor, like they're in a goddamn roadhouse. The smoker is played by the mighty James Woods, one of our most colorful celebrities. He's had a long career as an actor, nominated for multiple Oscars, made a character on both The Simpsons and Family Guy. He apparently was on a flight with some of the 9/11 hijackers.
He told authorities what he saw, and the FBI has apparently corroborated that it may have been a dry run for the 9/11 hijackers.
And now he spends his time yelling about stuff on Twitter.
And by the way, what? I lost half my Twitter following today coming here, so I have some...
Oh, did you?
The program run by Quitters, Inc. is quite ingenious. They have this special torture chamber that gives painful electric shocks. Mafia goons will be keeping James Woods under constant surveillance. The first time they catch him sneaking a smoke, they take his wife and put her in the room. The second time they catch him, they'll put his daughter in there. What do you think happens if they catch him a third time? Does he go in the room? Nope.
The third offense, I'm afraid I have to send someone out to rape your wife.
I don't know if any of y'all are smokers, but apparently quitting is a real pain in the ass. There's a famous quote attributed to Mark Twain. "Quitting smoking is easy. I've done it 100 times." So now he's all irritable. He can't sleep, his asshole friends keep trying to peer pressure him into lighting up.
Have a cigarette! No, really, I give those babies up.
The whole movie is over the top. It's got dancing cigarette packs in it.
James Woods also has a mentally handicapped daughter who doesn't live with them, but instead is at some private school run by the nuns. It's weird because she seems very high-functioning. What exactly about her was so overwhelming that James Woods and his wife couldn't have her in the house, but instead sent her away, where they barely see her, only showing up every couple of months to assuage their guilt by giving her Cabbage Patch dolls at a time when those things were expensive and nearly impossible to find. There must be some details the movie is leaving out, like she used to constantly smear her shit all over the bathroom walls. Actually, the detail of the child being mentally challenged is only specified in the Stephen King story. So maybe she's one of those bad seed kids who murdered her nanny, and this is one of those homes for criminally insane children. No wonder her parents never visit. So of course James Woods eventually cracks under the pressure, and while his car is stuck at the bridge, he finds an old pack of smokes in the glove box and lights up. I love the look of pleasure on his face. It's like in The Shining, when Jack Torrance has a belt of bourbon and looks like he's coming in his pants. But he doesn't get away with it. He's spotted, and before you know it, his wife is being tortured inside the electric box. I like the touch of the ironic pop music playing. Reminds me of Stuck in the Middle with You during the torture scene in Reservoir Dogs. Quitters, Inc. is my favorite story in Cat's Eye. Despite the outrageousness of the situation, the movie does a great job making it seem completely logical. There is real tension as James Woods becomes more and more paranoid, always on the lookout for people watching him. You feel his torture, knowing if he slips up, it will be his family who bears the brunt of the punishment for his transgression. It's a perfect metaphor for smoking, the way if he winds up giving himself lung cancer and dying, it's his wife and daughter who will have to live on and suffer for his mistake. It also ends with a perfect Twilight Zone moment I won't ruin for anyone who might want to watch this movie. I think this is one of the best examples of a Stephen King story adapted for film. The next story the cat wanders into involves a tennis coach who's been banging the wife of some creepy guy, who it's never made clear whether he's a gangster or just a rich asshole gambler. As punishment for cuckolding him, he makes the tennis coach walk around the outside of a high-rise apartment. On a 3-inch ledge, he has to fight high winds, aggressive pigeons, and the gambler's attempts to throw him off balance. Boogie, boogie, boogie! This story is very effective when you're afraid of heights. Usually movie height scenes are pretty quick, but this one lasts nearly the entire length of the story. Really gets your vertigo worked up. In the end, the tennis coach turns the tables and forces the gambler to take his own wager and walk the ledge around the building. When he falls, there's a weird animation of him losing his balance. Reminds me of the effect in the old Universal movies when Dracula would change from a bat to human form. I also think it's pretty clever the way at the start of the story, the director shows us a horn falling off the building and how it crumples upon hitting the ground. This helps the audience visualize the damage done to the gambler at the end when he falls, forcing us to create the image instead of showing us a gory special effect. To drive the point home, the soundtrack even has a horn sound effect when he hits. The final story was written originally for the screenplay. In it, a malicious tiny troll sneaks into Drew Barrymore's house, and the cat comes to protect her. This was the device used to connect the 3 stories, as the cat kept seeing images of the girl begging him to come and help. She's practically saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." This is another good story, but geared towards a child audience, which makes it an odd contrast to the first 2. Cat's Eye ends on a cuddly image of a young girl and her cat, like it's a YouTube video instead of a Stephen King movie.
Anthology films historically are not very commercial. They don't do that well.
I know anthology films are difficult watches for some people who are used to a full-length story instead of shorter segments. When I rewatched the movie for this review, about halfway through the last story, my friend asked, "When the hell is the smoking guy coming back?" Jeez, she sounded like Milhouse wanting to know when Itchy and Scratchy were going to get to the firework factory. Here's some random thoughts about Cat's Eye. The movie is loaded with references to other Stephen King works. The cat is chased by St. Bernard like Cujo. We see an antique Cadillac like Christine. James Woods watches The Dead Zone on TV. The mother reads Pet Sematary. There's even subtle winks, like the prominent issue of Penthouse seen on the gambler's coffee table, as the story that segment was based on originally appeared in Penthouse magazine. I like how the one mafia henchman uses lame swear words.
Oh, fiddly sticks. Oh, darn.
He sounds like he's recording lines for the TV edit. I must say, however they green screened or composited the shot of the cat running across the car crash looks really good.
Don't worry about these big things, that's special effects.
I can't believe the tennis coach knows the gangster boyfriend is going to have him killed, but he can't leave with her because he needs to stop at the bank first thing in the morning.
Johnny, I've got to wait till the bank's open so I can crack open one of my piggy banks to get us some money. We got to have something to live on.
Like, dude, it didn't occur to you to get your money before he figures out she's run off? What a procrastinator. I bet he hasn't even packed his fucking suitcase yet. When he loses his balance on the ledge, it looks like there's a line harnessing the front of his shirt to the wall to hold him in place. It occurs to me now this would have been a perfect role for Tom Cruise. I mean, back in 1985, he was young enough to play the hot stud muffin banging a rich trophy wife. And since Top Gun hadn't come out yet, he wasn't that huge of a star that he'd be too good to be a supporting actor in a Stephen King flick. And just like he does all his own stunts in the Mission Impossible movies, he probably would have insisted on walking around the ledge of a high-rise building for real, which would have made the sequence even more terrifying. Wow, I don't think I've ever said these words before, but I wish Tom Cruise was in this movie.
Oh my gosh, there's a guy in the audience. That's how I feel about it.
What? What the fucking shoes? This is an award show. Didn't you see Crazy Wonderful Love, whatever it was called? Get some shoes, Jesus.
Shenanigans. It's been a lot of fun, shenanigans. But now we've got to run. It's funny how the minutes seem to fly.